Talking about buying smartphones, the general perception is that the more you spend, the bigger smartphone you get, the better it is. But small could be beautiful too, my friends. I'm saying that primarily because I'm a fan of compact small phones, and you would know that if you watched my videos last year. I was a huge fan of the Samsung Galaxy S23, which is why I wanted to check out how this year's Samsung Galaxy S24 compares against a big phone like the OnePlus 12. In this video, I'm going to be comparing these two phones, of course, and I'm going to try to find out if you should buy the big OnePlus or the small Samsung. If you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad. You're watching Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, starting with the design, both these phones have glass. OnePlus looks like marble and has a texture feel like marble as well. But of course, it's frosted glass. It's similar frosted glass on Samsung as well. But Samsung's camera island is uniquely distinctive to Samsung right now. These three individual camera rings that stick out. And OnePlus's is also uniquely distinctive with that big circular module. But which one of these two camera module design plus overall design do you prefer? Let me know in the comment section below. But the major difference between these two phones is, of course, the size. While the Samsung is smaller, lighter, and more comfortable to use, OnePlus is bigger, curvier, and slightly less uncomfortable to use. Also because the OnePlus 12 actually does feel very heavy. Now, both these phones also have metal frames, aluminum frames to be more specific, but Samsung has that flat design, so therefore you get more of the aluminum to actually grip. On this, it's very slim, so sometimes it can dig into your bumps. Now, as for the glass protection, on Samsung you get Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and the back. On OnePlus you get Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the back and Victus 2 on the front. So Samsung has a bit of an advantage over there. Another advantage that Samsung has over OnePlus is that you get IP68 rating compared to IP65. So obviously the S24 is waterproof, the OnePlus 12 is water resistant. With the ports and buttons situation, it's very similar on board. You get the power button, you get the volume rocker, you get speakers, you get mics, you get a Type-C port at the bottom with USB Gen 3.2 speeds, which is fantastic. And you also get a SIM card tray which accepts dual nano SIM cards. But there are a couple of functional advantages on OnePlus. Firstly, you've got that unique alert slider and you've also got that infrared blaster. So that gives OnePlus a bit of a leg up over Samsung in terms of functionality, that's for sure. But I still love small compact phones like the Samsung Galaxy S24. It definitely feels and looks premium, which of course the OnePlus 12 also does. But most importantly, you've got more premium features like the IP68 rating, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection on the back as well. So, overall though, I would lean towards, Samsung also primarily because I like flat displays, but you could pick the OnePlus. But this is more of a philosophical discussion on whether you prefer bigger phones or smaller phones. And considering the OnePlus 12 is a big phone, you also get a big display. It's a 6.82-inch QHD Plus AMOLED display. Of course, it's an LTPO panel as well, so you get a variable refresh rate of 1 Hz to 120 Hz. It's also a 10-bit panel. You've got HDR support along with Dolby Vision support on Netflix. And OnePlus, of course, markets that 4500 nits of peak brightness. But we all know the truth about that. That 4500 nits activates itself only in a 1% APL. Basically, 1% of the pixels light up when you're watching HDR content, which is very little amount of time. What matters more is definitely the high brightness mode and the typical brightness mode. I'll come to that in a bit. The Galaxy S24, on the other hand, has a flat display, which has my heart because I like flat over curved displays. And it's a 6.2-inch 2x dynamic AMOLED panel. Plus, it's an LTPO panel, so 1 Hz to 120 Hz refresh rate is also possible. You also get HDR10 Plus support both on YouTube and Netflix, but there's no Dolby Vision support. That apart, you also get 2600 nits of peak brightness when you're watching HDR content. But in the brightness metric race, what matters is how bright is the display when you're using it regularly, when you take it outdoors. S24 is definitely brighter than the OnePlus 12 in our testing. That is what we noticed. Moreover, we do also check the color accuracy and the HDR performance of these displays, and they're almost very nearly neck to neck in terms of color reproduction. But what I noticed when watching HDR content is that Samsung is better at controlling the highlights compared to OnePlus. Another advantage on Samsung is that you get an ultrasonic in-display fingerprint scanner compared to optical one on the OnePlus 12. Now, the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner is of course more expensive to implement, but most importantly, this fingerprint scanner works even when you have wet fingers, which is not possible on the optical in-display fingerprint scanner on the OnePlus 12. But what I noticed is that OnePlus's haptic feedback tuning is tighter and generally crisper as well compared to Samsung. Now, we also tested the speakers on both these phones. Both do also support Dolby Atmos standard. And considering that the Galaxy S24 has a smaller body, I expected the speaker performance to be slightly inferior compared to the OnePlus 12, but I was pleasantly surprised. Because in our testing, we noticed that the Galaxy S24 actually is almost as loud as the OnePlus 12, but it sounds more rich and detailed with more bass impact as well. There's a lot of bass presence. Take a listen to it for yourself and let me know what you guys think. So with with respect to the display and multimedia experience, I think both are pretty good. But since I like flat displays and I like small displays as well, I think I'll go with the Samsung. Moreover, it's brighter. The speaker quality is very good. So yeah, Samsung seems to be slightly more premium compared to OnePlus 12. But again, it's a very slight difference. All right, now coming to the contentious, aspect of the comparison itself, the Samsung Galaxy S24 has the Exynos 2400 chip, whereas of course the OnePlus 12 has Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Now Exynos of course has that Xclipse 940 GPU, which has AMD's GPU tech inside it, and on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 you get Adreno 750. Now one thing I noticed was interesting is that the Exynos 2400 is actually a deca-core chip compared to octa-core on the Snapdragon, and with more cores on the Exynos chip, you can expect the multi-core performance to be better than OnePlus, and it actually is. The multi-core score on the Samsung Galaxy S24 was higher than the OnePlus 12. In fact, I was very surprised by even the Antutu score, because Exynos of course is lower than Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 inside the OnePlus 12. The OnePlus 12 scores about 1.9 million, whereas Samsung actually scored 1.7 million, which I feel is pretty respectable. Now I know that the S24 scored slightly lower in our previous comparison, but these are new fresh tests that we're running, and the performance has been better. And when I say performance has been better, it has actually been better in CPU throttle test as well, which was very, very surprising to me. In our 40-thread 30-minute test, the Samsung Galaxy S24 had a CPU stability of 78%, where the OnePlus 12 had only 57%. Even the GPU stability was better on the Samsung Galaxy S24 in 3D Mark wireless stress test compared to OnePlus. Evidently, even the smaller Samsung Galaxy S24 doesn't throttle as much as the OnePlus 12, which was very surprising to me. Now, if you're gaming with BGMI, you get 90 FPS at smooth graphics and Ultra HD or 40 FPS at Ultra HD graphics, HDR graphics. Even in COD Mobile, you can expect a peak of 120 FPS gameplay on both the phones. We also played Genshin Impact on both the phones for 30 minutes, and the average FPS, of course, was higher on OnePlus at 59 point something, but on the Samsung, it was still 59, which is pretty respectable. But what was interesting to us is the fact that OnePlus 12 got considerably hotter in our test compared to Samsung. So what we've noticed is that Samsung Galaxy S24 doesn't throttle and doesn't heat up as much as the OnePlus 12 does. Isn't that surprising now? And considering the Exynos 2400's performance has been generally good, I would say that it's time to start building goodwill for Exynos since Samsung has understood its past follies and is fixing its mistakes. As for the 5G performance, call quality, Wi-Fi performance and NFC, I didn't notice any difference between the two. Both give you a very flagship experience. So yeah, nothing to tell the two apart. Although I must say this, one thing I really love about Samsung phones, and I've been talking about this even on my Twitter account, is the fact that you get Samsung Wallet support. And it's a godsend feature. You can load up all your cards, you can have all your, personal documents like Aadhaar and all of that information in one really nicely done UI. Plus you can make NFC payments as well with the Samsung phone and a Samsung watch if you're using one. I know that a lot of people cannot move out of Samsung's ecosystem primarily because of this feature alone. Alright, now moving on to battery life, and that's one area where OnePlus 12 comfortably beats the Samsung Galaxy S24. So the large battery inside the OnePlus 12 gives you about 8 hours of screen on time, and in similar usage, Samsung would give you about 5 hours of screen on time. But of course, Samsung has a much smaller 4000 mAh battery, it's a much smaller body as well. That's a compromise that you have to make with a compact phone. Moreover, OnePlus 12 also offers 100-watt fast charging compared to 25-watt on the Samsung Galaxy S24. So of course, OnePlus 12 will charge much faster than compared to the Galaxy S24. That said, if you're looking for a premium software experience which feels very flagship, then it's One UI all the way. It's definitely a much better experience compared to Oxygen OS inside the OnePlus 12. And the kind of support that Samsung is promising now with the Galaxy S24 series is just crazy, because you get 7 years of software update support on the Galaxy S24 compared to 4+5 on OnePlus. Moreover, Galaxy AI itself has been the distinguishing factor for me. Despite the fact that OnePlus 12 uses the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it doesn't use all of the generative AI features in the way it could have. On the contrary, on the Galaxy S24, you get features like generative edit, where you can make multiple edits and it does the edits in the cloud itself. That apart, you also get, translation-based features, and all those features work exceptionally well. And circle to search is also super duper useful. I've been using that a lot. Plus, One UI 6.1's animations have been smoothened out so beautifully, and I can't believe that we would see a day where One UI is actually faster and smoother compared to Oxygen OS. How the tables have turned. Finally, let's talk about the cameras. The Samsung Galaxy S24 has a 50MP primary camera, a 12MP ultra-wide angle camera, 10MP 3x telephoto camera, and on the front you get a 12MP selfie camera as well. OnePlus, on the other hand, is a specs monster because you get a 50MP primary camera, you get a 48MP ultra-wide, and you also get that 64MP 3x telephoto camera. And on the front, you've got a 32MP camera for selfies. But specs are one thing, but let's find out which one does better when you're taking pictures and shooting videos. Starting with the details, both Both look great at first glance, although if you take a closer look at the pictures, the Galaxy S24's sample seems a tad bit sharper compared to OnePlus 12's sample. Telephoto performance at 2x and 3x is better on OnePlus 12 compared to Samsung Galaxy S24. We notice sharper textures and more details as well. The OV64B sensor for the telephoto is definitely superior at reproducing details. As for the color reproduction, the OnePlus 12 produces more natural looking colors compared to more vibrant punchy look of the Galaxy S24. The HDR performance of the OnePlus 12 is also slightly better tuned. There's some purple chromatic aberration around the highlights of the Galaxy S24, plus more noise in the shadows as well. The OnePlus 12 does manage to pull out more details from the shadows and shoot a generally better HDR photo. But when you're shooting friends and family, Samsung manages to nail the detail retention. You can see the blemishes and pores on my colleague Shrikant's face, which has been softened in OnePlus's sample. As for the skin tones, the OnePlus 12 is close to natural, but Samsung is pretty good too. Portraits are clearly better on Samsung too, from the better edge cutout to cleaner bokeh drop-off. Samsung's portraits at 1x, 2x, 3x are pretty impressive. I mean, OnePlus 12 does a good job too, but it doesn't match up to Samsung's portrait picture quality. Moving on to low-light samples, OnePlus 12's nightscape issues raises its ugly head once again. It's definitely not good at retrieving details from the shadows as well as the Galaxy S24. The Galaxy S24's low-light shots are also sharper and more detailed. Now, when clicking pictures using the ultra-wide, OnePlus tends to capture more details compared to Samsung thanks to its larger 48-megapixel sensor. Although the color science consistency on Samsung is way better compared to OnePlus, and that's the kind of flagship processing we expect from Samsung and OnePlus as well, but OnePlus is not living up. Low-light ultra-wide-angle images are actually better on Galaxy S24 compared to OnePlus. Talking about low-light shots using the telephoto camera, OnePlus manages to control the highlights well and also manages to retain better details compared to Samsung. OnePlus's picture does look good compared to Samsung here. In selfies, here the Galaxy S24 manages to click a really great selfie compared to OnePlus. The colors, the skin tone and details are actually better on Galaxy S24 sample compared to OnePlus. Talking about selfies clicked in HDR situation, Samsung tends to maintain a natural look whereas OnePlus sort of slightly boosts the highlights. In portraits, I really like how natural and subtle the bokeh created on the Galaxy S24's images here. When you compare it to OnePlus, it sort of looks artificial. Now talking about videos, well, the Galaxy S24 is a clear winner. It captures really great videos compared to the OnePlus 12, no doubt. But when you're shooting ultra-wide-angle video, I think OnePlus's higher resolution camera comes in handy because it takes a better looking video compared to the Galaxy S24. There is far less noise and more details in OnePlus's sample. That's also true when you're shooting with the telephoto camera. Talking about selfie videos, then again, the Galaxy S24 is the clear winner, primarily because you can shoot 4K 60fps videos compared to 4K 30fps on OnePlus 12, and the quality of the video is also better. Now, low-light video quality is actually bad on both, but the Galaxy S24 seems to be capturing slightly better compared to OnePlus 12. There's a light flicker in OnePlus's video, which Samsung manages to avoid. Overall, what I noticed is that the Samsung Galaxy S24's camera has the better primary camera performance when you're shooting friends and family, and the ultra-wide-angle color science consistency is better. The selfie quality is better too, and so is the video recording quality. Plus, even the low-light performance with the primary camera is better. OnePlus definitely impresses with the ultra-wide-angle camera and the telephoto camera performance. But for the most part, when I was shooting with both these phones, Samsung was slightly more consistent with its results compared to the OnePlus, because OnePlus 12 definitely has a problem with white balance correction issue. So that's something that is the difference between a really good flagship premium algorithm compared to something that requires a little bit more work, especially the OnePlus 12. Also, Samsung has those Galaxy AI features. Of course, you get the generative edit option, but the fact that you can also, shoot or convert any 4K 30fps video, 4K 60fps video into a slow motion video is simply superb. To be entirely honest, I went into this comparison thinking that the OnePlus 12 would easily be the better buy compared to the Galaxy S24, but that's not really the case. I came away pleasantly surprised with the results. Now, of course, you get a superior software experience on the Galaxy S24. The camera and the video performance is also better. But most importantly, what surprised me was the stable performance of the Samsung Galaxy S24 compared to the OnePlus 12. But of course, OnePlus's battery life is definitely better than the Galaxy S24. And the other thing to note is that the OnePlus 12 has a lower price tag compared to the Galaxy S24. But the more I use the Galaxy S24, I get the same feeling that I got when I was using the Galaxy S23. I really like small compact phones, and the Galaxy S24 is a good one at that. So would you pick a small Galaxy S24 or a big OnePlus 12? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.